Hi fourth graders, welcome to our science class. Today we're going to learn about seeds and different parts of a seed. So for last class we learned about flowers and their roles and the different parts of a flower, but today we're going to focus on seeds. So let's begin. Seeds. Once a flower is pollinated, its seeds begin to grow. A seed is the first stage in the growth of the plant. So I'm going to why is this so thick? All right, let me erase this and let me highlight this. So here we go. So the seed is the first stage. The plant may form a fruit around its seed. A fruit is the part of the flowering plant that contains the seed. Apples, oranges. So fruit is a part of the plant that contains the seed. It's like a house fruit, a seed. Apples, oranges, cherries, and peaches are type of fruits, but also acorns and holly berries. God designed the fruit to protect the seeds while they grow. He also made many of the kinds of fruits to be food for us. After the seeds begin to grow, the other parts of the flower dry up and drop off. For example, an apple tree has beautiful white petals in the spring during pollination, but there are no flower petals on the trees when you pick the apples in the fall. So here we need to remember that flowers, not this one. The flowers are for the pollination. And we no longer need flowers when we have fruits because the pollination is for the fruits to produce fruits. Spreading of seeds. In order for a plant to reproduce, its seeds must find place to grow. God gave plants many ways to disperse or spread their seeds. So I'm going to highlight the word disperse, and it means spreading, and more specifically spreading the seeds. 3 ways seeds can disperse are by wind. So the first one is by wind, and by water, and by animals or people. So those are the 3 ways. Seeds that are dispersed by the wind are lightweight. So I'm going to highlight this. Lightweight, something that's very light. A dandelion seed is small and has tiny hairs. As the wind blows, it catches the hairs and lifts the seed up. The seed may float in the air for many miles. A maple tree seed is contained in a fruit that twirls as it drops. The wind may then push it far enough from the tree so that it has a better chance of survival. So fourth graders, why do we need seeds? What are the seeds for? Seeds are actually for the reproduction. And what is reproduction? Reproduction is like this, making copies or making babies. So let's say there is an apple tree. Okay? So there is an apple tree. And this apple tree bears fruit. Why do they bear fruits? Well, there are many reasons. Well, the Bible said the first reason is for us to eat. So the first reason is, the first reason is for us to eat, which is food. Then what is the second purpose of having fruits or seed? It's to reproduce. Reproduce means to make another apple tree like this. Reproduce, okay. Oopsie, my writing is not that great, so let me do it again. I'm just going to write this. So the second purpose is to reproduce. And now, that's why we need the seeds. And the seeds can be dispersed, can be spread in multiple ways. And the first way is here, is through through wind. And it's usually for the seeds that are very light, like dandelion seeds. So we call this gray umbrella, and sometimes we see this. We usually find this during like spring season or like even summer season. And then what do we do when we find it? We sometimes take it and blow it so that it can disperse in the wind, by the wind, and it can be dispersed in the air. And then these little tiny seeds, so each one is a seed, and they travel and they just move by the wind, and one day they're going to land on a place, and that place will be their home. And here it says another example that can be traveled by wind is maple tree seed. So I'm going to show you the picture. Here we go. So this is a picture of maple tree seed, and I know it looks very weird because, this little, do you see the two circular things? They are the seeds. However, they are carried by these two propellers, and this is very unique for this specific seed because, seed has no legs, they don't have hands, they don't have fingers, or they don't have anything to move around. So they need to be moved by some other carrier. And for this case, this propeller is the vehicle for them. So because of the wind, they can travel far distances, and they are going to find a right place to land. Then let's go back. And why do they travel? To survive better. Because when they're too crowded, let's say this, here is an apple tree, and let's say there is another apple tree right beside it. And this will cause what? Competition, because there is only a limited amount of land. However, these two trees have to share, so they will not get as tall as a single tree. So that's why the seeds has to travel and find the right place so that it's spacious enough, and no need to compete with other living things. Let's move down. Some seeds are dispersed by water. So another example is by water. These seeds may travel great distances this way. A coconut is a huge seed. This is coconut seed. Its hard shell allows it to float for miles in the ocean before washing up on land. So one example is coconut seed. Coconut seed is one example. And a third way seeds are dispersed is by animals or people. Squirrels eat acorns that fall from oak trees and bury some for later. In the winter, the squirrels dig up and eat most of their buried acorns, but sometimes an acorn is buried and forgotten. A new oak tree may grow from this acorn. There are also seeds such as burrs or stictites that can catch a ride on animals and people. So this is a squirrel burying a seed, and this is the stictites. Let me finish my sentence first. These seeds have hooks and prickles on them. The seeds can stick on animals' fur, the animal transports the seeds to a new location. Sometimes even people transfer these seeds. If you walk through a field, you may get these seeds stuck to your socks. When you pick them off and drop them on the ground, you are dispersing the seeds. So let's look at this picture once again. Most of you may have a experience of hiking or climbing up in a mountain. And when you walk across a very dried or like very bushy regions, there are sometimes it might look dry. However, there are a lot of plants, spiky plants on the ground, and then whether you know it or not, sometimes it sticks on your socks, just like this picture. And sometimes it's very ouchy because it's very spiky, and the moment you take off from the socks, you're moving the seed from one location to another location. So that's also another example of dispersing. Many seeds have tasty outer parts that are attractive to ants. The ants sometimes carried the seeds to their underground nest. They eat only the outer part and usually leave the seed unharmed. The seed is left in the ground ready to start growing. So ant is also another carrier. Seeds parts. So let's have a look at the parts of a seed. Seeds have three main parts, just like flowers. Three main parts, okay? These parts are the seed coat. So the first one is seed coat, just like our jacket or coat. The second part is developing plant. And the last part is the stored food. The seed coat is the outside covering. So this outside, do you see the darkest part and the thinnest part? This we call a developing plant. Oh no, not developing plant. It's actually seed coat. And the purpose of having this part is to protect the inside, which is stored food, and also this part, which is developing plant. The developing plant is the part of the seed that will become the new plant. Okay, so let me highlight this part. So developing plant is, do you see this little sprout looking like part? This is developing plant, and whenever we plant a seed, the first thing that comes out from a pot is a sprout. And this is where the sprout is coming from. So developing plant is where the sprout is located. And the last part, even in the seed, it has the beginnings of leaves, stems, or roots. Inside the seed coat, there is stored food for the developing plant to grow. So the last part is called stored food. And the stored food is for the developing plant. So this is for the developing plant. So when we just planted a seed in a pot, they don't have any food, they have no nutrition, they only have water. That way they eat off the stored food part to grow. Okay, so let's look at the quick check. Name 3 ways seeds are dispersed by. So the seed can be dispersed by 3 different ways. One is by wind. Second one is by water. And the last one is by animals or people. And we also know the 3 different parts of the seeds, right? It's right here. So 4th grader, this is the end of our lesson today. You have a Google Classroom assignment to do. And if you have any question, please leave a comment. I will reply to you as soon as possible. Then happy studying. Bye-bye.